So, on November 6th, roughly about 7 a.m., Isla was born. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so happy that you decided to join me today. This is my first official video, and I saw it only fit that I started this video, or my YouTube channel, I should say, with my story. With my story. So, if you get through this entire video and you love what you see, I would be extremely grateful if you like, subscribe, and share. Please share the love. I know that there are so many other YouTubers out there right now, and I know that you can find the same story, right, in many other videos. But if you feel as though you appeal to me and my story, and you want to hear and see more about me, then I hope you enjoy. If you feel this isn't the right fit for you, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, there's a YouTuber for everybody, right? At the end of this, I'll tell you guys a little bit more about my channel, what I intend to do. But this will be the story of why I'm officially starting my YouTube after so many years of contemplating it. So let's get into the story. So in August of 2022, I found out that I was pregnant, and my husband and I, we weren't actively trying to get pregnant. We were, though, expectant of becoming pregnant, if that makes sense. At that time, we were married for about 2 years, or we were approaching our 3rd year of marriage. And we just were truly seeking God on becoming parents and how parenthood would look for us. We got married later in our lives. That's what people say, right? If you're 33 or above, or 30 and above, that's later in your lives. So I guess we would say that we got married later in our lives. And so we knew that we were starting a family just a little later than the average Joe. But, we were just trusting God for that path for us. And yeah, at some points we were even doubting our capabilities of getting pregnant, right? Because we weren't using any contraceptives. We weren't trying not to get pregnant, but we just weren't actively trying. And those of you that know, you know, okay? So what had happened was, the first 4 months of my pregnancy were absolutely amazing. Like, literally, they were the smoothest pregnancy. It was the smoothest pregnancy ever. I had no morning sickness. The most I had was indigestion, but I could eat whatever I wanted. I was good. I was good. Now, medically, when I would go to see my doctor, she would let me know that, hey, you do have a fibroid, because it cast a shadow in the ultrasounds. But it wasn't anything that she felt was an urgency, because I had no problems before with fibroids, or so I thought. Just real quick, I did take a CT scan in 2021 because I was experiencing pain, but nothing came up on the CT scan. And when I did go to my gynecological appointment, there was nothing. You couldn't feel any fibroids. You couldn't feel them, and I couldn't feel them either. However, I did realize that I was starting to have pelvic pain. So I went to a number of doctors trying to figure out what it was. Nothing came of it. My periods weren't irregular, so just never thought anything of it any further. I was very active. I was working out. The only thing that I would say is when I got off keto, and we'll talk about that in another video, I did realize that hormonally I felt off. And that's also when I started to experience the pains. I am not saying keto is the reason for my fibroids. I am saying maybe, it's very likely, a high-fat diet with a lot of red meat can contribute to fibroids in African-American women. That's all I'm saying, y'all. But That's not scientific research. It was just my observation from what I experienced and the onset of my fibroid symptoms. But like I said, it never affected my menstruals. My menstruals were normal. Aside from the pelvic pain, I didn't experience anything else. Let's get back to my pregnancy. When I hit the 5-month marker, so entering into the 5th month of my pregnancy, my doctor did notice that the fibroids started to grow, but there was ample room for the baby. When we would see the baby, she was fine. She had enough room. My sac had enough fluid, placenta fluid, so there was no reason for concern. And the hope was that by November 20th, I would have seen the specialist, right? Because I was over the age of 35. So I would have been able to see the specialist, and they could have delved a little bit deeper into anything that would have harmed the baby. But I hit November. Let me step back. At the end of October, when I entered into the 5th month, I did start to have some cramps and pressure. The only way that I can describe it is I felt constipated, and that came with like stomach cramps towards the bottom of my pelvic area. Stomach cramps that just, and I'm doing my hand like this because it felt like they were just going like this. Yeah. And so I went to the emergency room. We had our gender reveal on the 29th, and I went to the emergency room on the 30th because it felt off. Went to the emergency room. They said I was dehydrated, but they also took a transvaginal ultrasound, and that revealed that I had a lot of fibroids. I had some small ones, and the lady that was doing the ultrasound at the hospital, she made it seem as though I had like at least 4 or 5. Yeah. So, but the diagnosis was just that I was dehydrated. They saw the baby. The baby was fine. She had a strong heartbeat. At that time, I was still not having any spotting or any bleeding, vaginal bleeding. So there was nothing they could do. Baby was intact. My cervix was long, so it was intact. So it was just having the cramps. To them, it could just be growing pains, right? All right. I went to see my OBGYN the Tuesday because my hubby and I had planned to go on a cruise for our anniversary. And so the hospital gave me clearance, but I also need to go to my OBGYN to get clearance to go on the cruise. Went to my OBGYN, she checked my cervix again. This is 2 days apart from the emergency room. And sure enough, my cervix was still long and no spotting or vaginal bleeding. However, she decided before I left to just check my cervix manually. And when she did, she said, just be careful. There is a little bit of spotting. But like I told you guys, because of the constipation, she was like, it could be because of the constipation, but I just need you to watch for spotting. And she verified, did you have any previous spotting? I did not, guys. No spotting at all. Never experienced spotting through my whole pregnancy. And so she was like, all right, you can go on the cruise. She said, but if anything happens, I need you to call me. And so that was the plan. The plan was for us to call her if anything happened. It was a short 4-day cruise. So we didn't anticipate nothing was going to happen. Then we went on a cruise. First day was beautiful. It was lovely. I was able to walk. I didn't experience any cramps. I was able to eat. Like everything had just stopped. That one day was lovely. Lovely. I went to bed that night. I felt good. But midway throughout the night, I started to feel the cramps again. Got up, went to the bathroom, light spotting. It was very light, So I was like, maybe this is the residue of what my OBGYN saw. So I raved it off, went back to bed. The next day, nothing. I was like, all right, yeah, it was just a residue, right? That night, went back to bed. Well, we actually had decided that day that I was just going to do like bed rest. I was just going to stay in the room, just watch my symptoms a little bit, then decide if we need to call the doctor. Mind you, it was a 4-day cruise. It was very short. So it was Wednesday. We were going to come back Sunday. I stayed in the room. Nothing happened. I think that night we decided to go back for dinner. Went for dinner, couldn't really eat. And I actually had to end up going back to the room just because I felt really tired and I started to feel the pains again. So that night, went to bed. The pains were pretty bad. Woke up in the night, went to go use the bathroom, more spotting. By this time, it wasn't a bright red. It wasn't bright red. So I was scared, but I wasn't too alarmed just yet. The next day, it was fine. I'm just the light spotting throughout the day. We decided that we would continue with the bed rest, but at this time, the pressure started to come back. So the same way I was feeling the weekend I went to the hospital, I started to feel that way again. So we just decided, you know what? You're going to stay in bed for this whole cruise. I'm going to stay in bed, propped up my legs. I didn't do anything. We had one day where we actually stopped at a port. That would have been the Thursday. So that Thursday, all we did was we walked out on the deck. We looked over Lobby de Haiti, which was beautiful. Then we went back to the room. During that whole span, because I couldn't really eat or I wasn't really hungry, didn't have an appetite, I was just asking my husband to bring me a lot of broth. I try to eat a lot of kiwi because kiwi helps you to use the restroom. And we also brought a lot of prune juice. So I would drink 2 glasses of prune juice every day. Because in my mind, I was just praying and hoping that it is the constipation. That's what's causing the bleeding. I'm not sure how I equated that, guys, but I was just praying and hoping that that's what it was. By the Friday night, going into Saturday, I started actually bleeding, red blood. I called my doctor the Saturday. She encouraged me to go down and see the infirmary on the ship. My greatest fear was that they would want to fly me out to a hospital, to a nearby island. I didn't want that. So Saturday was a day at sea, and we were heading back to our home port. So called the infirmary. They told me to come down. They actually sent a chair up to come and get me. And then we went down to the infirmary. By this time, the bleeding started to get worse. Long story short, the infirmary, they were very limited. They couldn't do an ultrasound on the baby on their ship, but they could test me. They could test me for various things, infection, bacteria, so forth. So they did test me, and they said that it seems like I just have an infection. So what they did, they sent me back to the room, right? They sent me back to the room, but they did say that they encourage that I do an ambulatory debarkation. So when I leave the ship, that I go off on an ambulance so that they can take me directly to the hospital. And so we decided that we would do that. So they set up the ambulance debarkation for, I think it was like 5 a.m. the next morning. And when you're on cruises, guys, if there is like a medical emergency and they already are on the sea, the ship actually goes faster to get you to the port. When I went back to the room, the pain got worse, guys. It literally felt, I believe I was having full-blown contractions. And the bleeding got heavier. They gave me a diaper, and I filled up that diaper in less than an hour with blood. At one point, because I couldn't use the bathroom, you know, because of the constipation. But as we got later into the night, I couldn't even pee, guys. I could not pee. So that's when I knew something was up. I kept asking my husband, when are they coming to get me? When are they coming to get me? Because the pain was so excruciating, you guys. And finally they came, they got me. I couldn't sit up. Sitting up was extremely difficult for me. So they came and got me on a wheelchair, and that every bump, every single bump going down to the infirmary in that wheelchair was excruciating. They put me on a bed, and they were gonna, I don't know, I'm not sure what they were gonna do at that point, but you know, to them, the ambulance didn't arrive. I kept saying, babe, when's the ambulance coming? Sure enough, the ambulance came. They came directly in with the gurney. They took me to the hospital on the gurney. We had a police escort. We did feel a little special, y'all. As much as I was going through at that moment, I kudos to Royal Caribbean, because that was an on-point experience. We had a police escort us out of the port, and there was no other guests leaving at that time. It was just us, you know, so no one was, our information wasn't disclosed. No one knew what was going on with us specifically. And they didn't even have to check our passports or anything. We went. And so my husband told me after the fact that he had already done that when I was in the room. So it was just a really smooth exit for someone who has an emergency. Now, went to Jackson Memorial Hospital. If you guys are in Florida, you know where that is. And went in through their emergency room. Got into the emergency room, guys. I still couldn't pee. That's a long saga too, but I'm not going to tell you guys about what happened in the emergency room, because we did have to make a complaint. Anyways, I finally got a catheter. Someone came to do the ultrasound, and this was the scariest moment for me. As much pain as I was in, as much blood as I saw I was missing, scariest moment was when the ultrasound tech, she looked at the screen, and I said to her, is the baby fine? She said, your baby's fine. I said, that's the heartbeat. She said, that's your baby's heartbeat. The baby's heartbeat was so strong, guys. And then she said, I said, well, is everything okay? She was like, I'll let your doctor talk to you. That moment broke my heart. That moment broke my heart. And the ER doctor came in and he tapped me on my leg and he said, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you're having a miscarriage. You're having a miscarriage. He said the OBGYNs will come down and talk to you and give you your options. And I think I just looked at my husband. I think I cried a little. I don't remember. He always tells me how strong I was because I didn't really respond. At that time, there was too much going on for me to respond. I was losing a lot of blood. A lot of blood, guys. But I wasn't even worried about me. So she came down. The OBGYN doctors came down. She said she's going to look into a few options. She was going to talk to the pediatric side to see if there was anything they can do to keep my baby. But when she came back, she said, you know, at this time, the baby's lungs aren't developed, right? So there wasn't much that they can do to keep her. And right now, they were worried about my life. So on November 6th, roughly about 7 a.m., Isla was born. I was able to give her a vaginal delivery. And yeah, she was born. I got to see her little body. She would have been so beautiful, y'all. She would have been so beautiful. I didn't hold her, but I did touch her. She was dressed up. They dressed her up so nicely. And yeah, Isla was born and also went home to be with the Lord on the same day. Jealous. I'm jealous of her. I'm jealous of Jesus because he got to see how beautiful she is. And he's with her every day. Yeah. So, I was in the hospital for 5 days, guys. Like I said, I will talk about my hospital experience. It was a wonderful experience on the mother-baby unit, the OBGYN floor, I think it is. It was a beautiful experience. Fortunately, my mom worked for Jackson for 20 years, so they took care of me as their own. They really did, and I appreciated that. They even got me her footprint. But I went through them telling me that I may be septic, to them telling me they may have to give me an emergency hysterectomy, to them thinking that I had blood clots in my lungs, in my legs. I had a blood transfusion, high fever, rapid heart rate that kept going higher than 120. Yeah, it was an experience. The day that they told me they were discharging me, I bawled like a baby. I bawled. I was so excited. I was so excited. I just felt like it was just one page of the book that was turned, and I couldn't wait to get off that page. I could not wait. So afterwards, right, now I have to do all these follow-up appointments to verify, well, what happened. At one point, my doctor thought it was an incompetent cervix because I had the perfect pregnancy. I had no issues, right? However, you know, once we went back and looked at the trend of the fibroid, I didn't tell you guys this, but by the time I went to Memorial Hospital, the fibroid that started at 4 centimeters had grown to 11 centimeters. 11. And yeah, 11 centimeters. By the time I was discharged from the hospital and I went to do some tests, that same fibroid had gone back down to about 7 centimeters. However, when I did another transvaginal, my doctor called me and she said, because of the positioning of the fibroid, let me just give you guys some time frame. This would have been a good amount of weeks after I was discharged from the hospital. She sent me to do the transvaginal to see how my uterus was healing. She said it was healing fine. It had no scar tissue. However, the fibroids, where they were positioned, it's very likely that as they grew, that could have been the reason why I had my miscarriage. She said it was probably 50-50 for the future. 50% chance that I would carry the full term, 50% chance that I would miscarriage again. She said, I'm going to send this over to one of my friends. He's an oncology doctor, but he works with fibroids, and he does a really good job with fibroids. She sent my transvaginal over to him, and he immediately messaged her back and said, she doesn't have a 50-50 chance. She has a 40-60 chance. 40% that she will carry the full term, 60% that she will miscarry again. She needs to take these out. I know that there's a lot of debate about removing them. They're going to come back, but I made the best decision for me, and I decided that I needed to take these out. I've never encountered them before, and I didn't want to live with an invader in my body. You have to make that decision for yourself, right? If you follow an appropriate diet, the chance of them coming back might be 50-50. I don't know, right? But at this moment, I didn't want these things in my body any longer, and I made that decision that, God, you are either going to heal me immediately or you're going to heal me through the medical means that you've given man wisdom to do. And whichever way he chose, that his Holy Spirit will confirm that with me. And I had full peace about going through with the procedure. So yeah, so I made the decision to get a myomectomy. My doctor wasn't sure if laparoscopic or open myomectomy would be the best option. So they had to schedule an MRI for me. The MRI, I saw the doctor January 26th. This was a specialist. They scheduled my surgery for March 14th. And the MRI was in February. I don't remember the date right now. But did the MRI. They called me back within a week to let me know it does have to be an open myomectomy because they're all in the same place. And they need to be able to visually see how they're going to take these out. So by the time you guys watch this, it will be the future. But today is my surgery date. And as you can see, I'm okay right now, right? In the hospital when I had my miscarriage, I had to do a DNC, emergency DNC. No, it's nothing like a myomectomy, but I know the process of going into a surgery, going through the anesthesia. I know that I have a long road ahead with an open myomectomy, but I'm going to take you guys on that journey with me. I'm going to take you guys on that journey with me. So this YouTube channel will start off with my myomectomy journey. It may venture into my pregnancy journey, but along the way, you guys may just see my life. Just see my life. I do love fashion. I love makeup. I love hair. I know it's short right now. Don't judge me, guys. I ain't doing nothing to it because today's D-Day, surgery day. So you may see some of that in the future. You might see some of that. I am not a stylist. I am not a licensed hair person, hairstylist. And I am not a makeup artist, not by a long shot. However, you just may see some of those things on my channel. Those things that I enjoy, those things that I love. You're going to see a lot of food on my channel because I am a foodie. However, I'm also going to be making some lifestyle changes. So you guys are going to see that transition for me, how that looks. And we'll troubleshoot. We'll see what works, what doesn't work. I don't believe in being a serial dieter because I think that also affects our hormones. However, you will see me try maybe time frames, right? I believe that the times that you eat and the amount that you eat can impact your weight loss, but also your mood. So you might see me more so play around with that versus the foods that I eat. That should be consistent. And I'll show you guys some of the foods I eat to make me feel good and to make me feel uplifted. And also take you guys with me to the gym because I do work out. Not so much right now, but I do work out. So you guys will get to see some of that. So yeah, that is what you guys will get to see on my YouTube channel. Like I said, this is my story. I hope that you guys will join me for this ride. Like I said, there's so many other people that you could choose from. But if you do choose me, I greatly appreciate it. You made a great choice. And I hope that the content that I create for you guys, you'll love it. I may not be the best at it, but I'm gonna be me. And that's the most important thing for me, okay? All right, guys. Well, you have a blessed day. And I will see you guys on the next journey together. Bye.